All right. Yeah, NTB, man. So I had a young person ask me about the convictions of the folks who killed George Floyd, the one cop, Derek Chauvin, and then subsequently 3 other cops. And they wanted to know, is this going to be a deterrent to cops to stop harming unarmed people, abusing people, yada, yada, yada? Is this going to be a deterrent? Is this a game changer? And game changer? Let's talk about it, man. NTB. All right, NTB, man. So, game changer. So, I titled this video Game Changer because the question becomes, as we see more and more police officers, relatively speaking, are being prosecuted, even convicted for harming unarmed citizens, harming unarmed black people, more specifically, or using unjustifiable force against them, or allowing them to be harmed and not stepping in and stopping the offense against them. We're seeing them more and more being prosecuted. And these 3 cops in the George Floyd case were convicted, so they await their sentences. So, I heard some wonder, is this going to be a game changer? But I say not necessarily, because if you look at what's going on, look at the landscape, there's a couple of things people have to understand about the system and how the system works. Police officers are part of what's called the criminal justice system. So this is just a basic lesson in the law. They're part of the criminal justice system. And the criminal justice system is just that. It's a system. It's made up of a group of agencies that work together to bring about what? Justice. All right. Some argue with J part. But anyway, they are part of the system. They are part of the family. The system consists of, for example, the police, corrections, the prosecutor's office, the DA's office, and the criminal justice courts, the judges. So there's a lot of angles there in connecting parts. And so if you look at the criminal justice system, it's filled with laws, policies, and procedures, but they also have this one word that permeates through the criminal justice system at all levels that every criminal justice professional has, and it's something called, remember this word, discretion. That's the great equalizer. That's the part of the system that a lot of people miss when they watching TV and they reading a newspaper and they hearing about this arrest or that arrest, or they not hearing about this arrest or these arrests, and they wonder, hey, what's going on? You don't understand what's going on because you don't understand discretion. The police have discretion, prosecutors have discretion, and judges have discretion. I'm gonna walk you through each real quick. So a police officer does something, or they come and engage with someone, a suspect, they have the discretion to do a number of things. And if they actually witness it, and it's not just an investigative stop, for instance, they still have discretion to do certain things. For instance, they can give them a warning. Hey, guy, you're not supposed to be parked there. What are you doing? Hey, move along, right? That's a warning. Now, they could have did another thing in their discretion. They could have given them a ticket, but they did. They moved them along. Okay, sometimes they can give them a ticket and then send them home. Other times, they can use their discretion. They can arrest them and take them down to the precinct. At the precinct, they can give them what's called a disappearance ticket. After disappearance ticket, they can send them home. Or instead of giving the disappearance ticket, they can run them through the system. So there's a lot of things that they can do within the law because it's part of their discretion. So it kind of stands to a certain extent outside of the parameters of the written law, but they do have what's called discretion. And even when it comes to use of force, talking about these officers who are now in the news, a couple of them in the news. There was a horrible story of a young man, African Congolese brother. He got killed. The police officer shot him in the back of the head. I believe it was in Grand Rapids. Yeah, and so that's hot in the news right now when people want to know, okay, what's going to happen to this police officer? And what I was trying to say when I was discussing the issue of, is there a deterrent factor by the 3 George Floyd cops being convicted and George Floyd's killer being convicted? Is this going to put a chilling effect on police officers? And the answer is possibly no, because again, they have the discretion to use force if they really believe their life is in danger, even deadly force. And so there's so many things within the system that's built in to help them kind of navigate and even create that justification if need be. And then when you look at the landscape of the discretion that exists in the prosecutor's office, and we can watch and see if these cops who failed to act, omitted to act in the death of George Floyd, when they get sentenced, chances are they're not going to get sentenced harshly. And again, because that comes at the discretion of the judge. The judge may say no, Again, they all part of the system. And so the discretion may come down that no, they're not going to get a harsh penalty. If you look at how police officers oftentimes are treated within the system, they rarely get arrested for the offenses that they do, even if it's caught on body camera. And if they do get arrested, they often don't get convicted. There's very few convictions. And if they do get convicted, there's often not a harsh penalty. You understand? And these are all discretionary moves made at the part of the district attorney's office. Should we arrest them? Should we not arrest them? I hear the cop in the Congolese young man who was killed, I heard he hasn't been arrested. I heard he hasn't even been interviewed, and the killing happened days ago. Anyone could correct me on that if I'm right, but these are all discretionary calls from the higher ups, the police department and the district attorney's office. They're deciding not. If this was a normal civilian on civilian, that person would have been interviewed, that person would have been already arrested or charged, very likely. All right. So again, the discretion is the powerful force that stops sometimes the law from being implemented in its tracks. And it provides oftentimes off ramps for people, not just police officers who are part of the system, but a lot of people within the system. I can name a number of them, and we'll talk about that in another video, who have off ramps because sometimes they don't even get arrested. If they do get arrested at the discretion of the prosecutor's office, they're not harshly punished. If they are harshly punished, when they come to the judge, what did the judge do? Because in the judge's right-hand pocket, they have that big old thing called discretion. And they can pull that out and say, hey, I know the law says you're supposed to get 10 years, officer, but I'm going to use my discretion and I'm going to deviate from the sentencing guidelines and I'm going to drop your sentence all the way down to 2 years, because I know how hard it is to be a police officer. So I'm going to do that. And that's the way it's going to go. And so until there's some consistency in terms of bad actors being punished after conviction or after the crime is committed, even if they're police officers, law enforcement officers, until that day comes, game changer for conviction here, conviction there, and then a slap on the wrist when sentencing time comes. I doubt it, man. I don't think there's going to be any change until all of that power of discretion and just letting people slide goes out the window as well. But anyway, what y'all think? Send me some thoughts in the comment. Let me know and we'll talk. NTB, man.